Hey there, what's good, guys? What's good in the hood? We're just getting started now. I just need to set up my stuff there on the side, and then we'll get to cracking, guys. We'll get to cracking. We're gonna start the session at 9:45. So you guys can just take another couple of minutes just to review my watch list, and then maybe just to set up, go on your side, and then kind of just set up the same pairs that I've got on my side, just so that we do the same analysis. What's good there, guys? What's good? Nice to have you guys there in the building. Nice to see you guys. Let me check there in the chats where you guys from. So we're gonna be starting the morning analysis. Nice one. I see there. Who's calling me now? Let me just drop the call because we're busy with our live. Nonetheless, there I see the Noble is saying morning, gents. I see the Tamir is saying good and you. Always. Kopan is saying I can't see the screen, doctor. Okay, the screen is now sharing. Okay, guys, let me just answer this call here and just hello. I'm okay, and you, man? I'm just in a live right now. I won't be able to talk right now. I'm sorry about that, man. Okay, thanks a lot, man. Bye. Okay, sorry about that, guys. But anyway, I see there Nduvundo Chavalala is asking which pairs are on the watch list. So we're going to be looking at the DXY, AUDCAD, AUDJPY, AUDUSD, Swiss yen, New Zealand dollar CAD, and New Zealand dollar JPY. I see they can't see anything. Okay, we're sharing now. Good morning, guys. All clear. We're in the building watching from Zambia. Nice to have you there. I see Tembega. Tequila. You're giving me John Carty's names now. The analysis, guys, we don't have a lot of time today, so we'll just look at the DXY and we'll go through our list of pairs. Awesome. So looking at the DXY, guys, I see they're all the way from Dobsonville. Nice to have you there, Kopano Miki in the building. I see Tapelo Gil there saying we're in the building. Nkosi Pililes are saying morning. Sikose game. I don't know. Morning Skokase game. Okay, cool. Now I got it. What's good there, man? Nice to have you there. So guys, on the DXY, we'll just start off on the daily. Just have a look at what's going on here, what has been going on. So basically from a daily, guys, we've got this ascending structure here, and then we kind of concluded that we want to see prices kind of violating these equal highs up here first before we look for those sell biased trading opportunities. And then all and behold, we've got prices giving us a very nice, beautiful violation of some equal highs over here, obviously breaking above our level of resistance and then breaking back below. We see some nice sellers coming into the market, so some nice momentum pushing to the downside there. Now that we can see which direction the momentum is going in, let me...
No, there's something. I need to tell you. Just meet for a few seconds. Just meet for 2 minutes first.
Cool, guys. Just give me 2 seconds just to mute. I'll be back. Okay, cool. Sorry about that, guys. I just realized that there was a lot of noise going on there from the other PC that I'm actually streaming from. I didn't realize that I forgot to mute that other side, so I just had to insert that out there. Otherwise, thanks, guys, for giving me a couple of seconds there just to be a little bit more hands-on with the stuff that we're doing. So otherwise, guys, let's just get back into the DXY analysis here. So basically here on the DXY, after we've got this nice momentum pushing to the downside, so clearly market has shown us which direction we're kind of looking for our trades in, because now we've got a confirmation of that momentum, giving us some nice push to the downside. So going down onto the 4 hour, what we'll be doing is just looking at the nature of the price action. And obviously we can see that price action has been giving us small levels of structure within here. Now, what we do have for a nice point of interest is previous resistance that prices have broken above. And then obviously we've seen prices breaking back below that previous resistance area. So if we just have a look at the structure over here, we've got this level of resistance up here that obviously we see prices breaking back below. And what we need to wait for is to see prices correcting up into this level of resistance so that we can look for that downside continuation. Now, as you guys can see, I've got some points of interest over here. I've got a first point of interest where this is kind of the first area where we'll be expecting that reaction from. If prices don't react from this area, then obviously we wait for prices to come to the next value area. If prices don't react from this next value area, then obviously the last area that we're looking for those selling opportunities is at this previous resistance that prices have broken above and then obviously broken back below. But nonetheless, guys, on the DXY, we've got this nice, beautiful confirmation of our sellers finally showing themselves that they're here in the market. Kind of almost threw us off when we saw this nice bullish rally up there. But now we finally see that, yes, these sellers are here. This was just a fake out to the upside, trying to push us and trying to sway us away from our nice bearish bias that we've been having here on the DXY. But otherwise, we've got some confirmation. All we're looking for now is for that continuation to the downside. Impulse, we look for that correction, obviously, to commit to the downside. And once we find this nice, beautiful corrective structure, then obviously we look for our sell bias trading opportunities. Let's go on to our first pair that we're going to have a look at, guys. Let me just check what's happening here in the chats. I see you guys there in the building. I see Olivia saying morning. I see Ezekiel saying morning tea. I see Tanda there saying morning all the way from Swaziland. Nice to have you there, Tanda. I see Craig is also saying morning all the way from Namibia, as well as Tepang saying morning from Hammanskraal. I see there Zwelitini is also saying good morning, Guy, all the way from Eswatini. Nice to have you guys there in the building. Nice to have you guys. Let's just continue with our analysis here. And we'll get on to some AUDCAD, guys, some AUDCAD. So on AUDCAD, let me just hide my things that I'm doing here. Let's just do this because it's not really relevant to us. But nonetheless, we will speak about it. Let's just hide this and then we'll just leave that last one there. So basically from a daily perspective, guys, we've got this nice descending structure here, obviously higher time frame, nice descending structure showing us that yes, prices are making lower lows and lower highs, but we're doing so in a corrective manner. We're kind of slowing down as we're moving to the downside. Now, obviously, we paid attention to our structure. We had a nice first touch over there, second touch over there. Prices came down to almost give us that touch, but not quite, but we're almost there. So nonetheless, what we're going to be doing for ourselves is just dropping down onto the 4 hour just to observe a little bit of the nature in the price action. And what we can see here from a 4 hourly perspective is that we've got this nice descending structure, absolutely beautiful descending structure with our first touch there, second touch in this area. Prices have come down, giving us a nice third touch of structure. We've got our previous support structures there. Obviously, we see prices breaking below that support structure, breaking back above. So simply enough, guys, you guys can already see this nice, beautiful inverse head and shoulders that can obviously come when prices come down and complete this nice, beautiful right shoulder before we find that bullish momentum to the upside. So simply enough, guys, you guys can see that we've got a nice inverse head and shoulder kind of forming out here. And all we could be looking for, all we should be looking for is just basically this right shoulder. We've got a nice sign of strength. We see prices finally violating these resistance areas here. Resistance areas from a 4 hourly perspective. And obviously after we see prices giving us a new higher high, what do we expect from price? We expect to see prices giving us a higher low before we see that continuation to the upside. So that's exactly what we're looking for. Now that we're obviously on these smaller time frames, I have my points of interest that I've kind of isolated from a smaller, much smaller time frame, like the 1 hour. Now I think this is from a 15 minutes. So 15 minutes we've got there, 5 minutes, I think we've got some points of interest in there. And these are kind of my areas of value where I want to look for trades off. So what I'm kind of just hoping for is that we don't see momentum just running away from us at this point in time, but we actually see prices giving us a nice entry. So basically for my entry criteria, guys, we've got our support structures there. We see prices violate. We've got new support structures there. All I'm waiting for, once we get this second violation of price action, this is my first point of interest where I'm looking for that bullish price. Otherwise, simple enough, guys, I'm looking for reversal structures below our support trend line. If we don't find an entry below and we break back above, I'm just waiting for price action to give me those reduced risk entries in form of continuation structures for that move to the upside. So no matter how price action presents itself to me, I know that I am looking for buying opportunities from this point of interest here. So I'm kind of going to try and see whether or not prices fake us into this trade as yet. Hopefully we actually pull down and violate these supports, give us our low buy, and then obviously we look for that momentum to the upside. So yeah, if we were to also isolate maybe just some support structures there, just see what kind of a structure we've got going on there, and just also maybe prepare ourselves for a nice, beautiful third touch of structure anywhere in and around the support trend line over there. So nice bullish bias price action here, nice bullish bias on AUDCAD. This is one pair that I'm damn excited about. Hopefully we get a good entry because I so badly want to swing this trade. I'm not really interested in scalping at this point in time. I love the higher time frame structure, so I kind of want to get into a nice swing on this pair. So we'll just see. Hopefully prices come down. This is our point of interest, I guess, for me to look to add size. And then obviously if I miss my adding size position up here, then anyway, I'm going to add sizes down low. So just looking at where price is, and then obviously one trying to be relevant and stay basically on aware on it. So let's just go on to AJ. We'll go up to the daily, just see what AJ is doing there from a daily perspective. Awesome. So on AJ, basically just looking at the most downside, we see momentum to the upside. We then see prices coming back to this previous support structure there. And obviously we isolate the structure to observe how is price action approaching this next level of value. So we come down to our 4 hour just to observe some nature in the price action. And obviously you guys can see we've got this nice descending momentum violating our structure to the upside. So obviously we want to buy from a higher time frame perspective, but if at the most recent level of structure, the most recent price action, what we do see is price being at resistance. So previous support over there, obviously we see these equal lows, prices broke below, we treated them as a resistance, we moved away, came back, resistance, we moved away, came back in some sort of an ascending structure, we rejected from this area one more time, and then obviously you guys can see we creating some sort of a head and shoulder structure with our point of interest being in and around this previous resistance area. Or let's just zoom into the price action a bit more. you guys can see our point of interest being at this previous resistance area over there, where prices have broken above, obviously, and broken back below and have not retested as yet. So simple enough, guys, what we're waiting for is for this right shoulder to form. We've also got a beautiful sign of weakness. We're seeing prices from a 4-hourly perspective violating our support structures. Then obviously, guys, we've been taught that the characteristics of a downtrend is lower lows, lower highs. Once we see prices violating support, what are we expecting? We're expecting a lower high to form. And obviously, that's the case in this area here. Now that we've seen prices violating our support, what we're expecting to form is a lower high. And we're going to be looking to try and involve ourselves in a trading opportunity that might come from the formation of this lower high. So simply enough, guys, on the smaller time frames, we've got this nice ascending structure over here. This ascending structure isn't very clear, but what I am looking at is obviously previous support that prices have violated nice and impulsively and have not retested as yet. So this is the area, guys. This is our point of interest where we're basically going to be looking for our rejections and obviously that momentum shift to the downside. So all we need to do is just pay attention to how prices get to this area, what prices do at this area, and this is an area where we will be looking for that downside continuation from AJ, basically for the formation of this nice head and shoulder structure. And this is our short-term bias, guys. So we're looking for that short-term buy just because of what we see the 4 hours doing in this area over here. And then obviously, guys, if we go up to the daily, we've got this nice, beautiful descending structure and whatever else. So we know that from a higher time frame perspective, we've got this inverse head and shoulders. We're at that neckline, and obviously we're expecting that termination of that right shoulder before we get that massive continuation to the upside. So we've got a higher time frame bias, and as well as our lower time frame bias, and our lower time frame bias obviously wants us to sell. And then obviously if prices do pull down, violating these support structures there, and maybe even this one over here, then obviously we'll look for that upside continuation to the upside. So we look for when prices do eventually make their way down to the support structure here, then we obviously adjust our bias appropriately and we look for those bullish bias trading opportunities. So you guys can see I've given you guys both my short-term look on AJ and as well as a long-term outlook on AJ. Let's go on to the next pair, AUDUSD. And I see here in the chats, someone is asking for AUDUSD. I see Craig is saying morning all the way from Namibia. I see the saying from Hammanskral. Okay, I think I read those. I see Victor there saying good morning from Kenya. Welcome, welcome, Victor. I see Khumutso Joel is also saying our T-man. What's good there, Khumutso? KG. James Christian there asking for AUDUSD. James, we're getting into some AU right now. Okay, cool. So let's just look at stuff from a higher time frame perspective. From a higher time frame perspective, guys, I've got a nice bullish bias. Basically, we've got this nice descending structure over here. And you guys, descending structure has only given us a first touch there, second touch there. And obviously, we guys can still expect a third touch in and around this area. You guys can see that we've been correctively violating our structure, breaking below, breaking back above. We have new support, breaking below, breaking back above. So obviously, we can see that, yes, prices is creating those lower lows and lower highs, but we're doing so in a corrective manner, and we could potentially react from this for that nice momentum to the upside. So I know that higher time frame, I've got a nice bullish directional bias. Now, if we drop down onto our 4 hour, we can find here. So in the cut of the market, we can clearly see 4 hour is trending to the downside, support, resistance, lower highs, lower lows. And obviously, you guys can see as long as we remain below these previous resistance areas, then obviously price is still bearish. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to trade the most recent momentum here on AU, seeing that we see some nice momentum violating these previous support structures over there on AU. What we're going to be looking for is for that downside continuation. Why are we looking for downside continuation? Because we want to see price action basically coming down to this value area to set us up for a higher time frame buying opportunity. Now, if we just look at the, I guess, just find that or refine that point of interest on a 1 hour time frame, you guys can see that we've got previous support in this area over here. Obviously, the prices have violated nice and impulsively and have not retested as yet. Right now, price action is impulsing towards this area of value. So all we're going to do for ourselves, let's just delete this area here, because obviously we can see price action didn't react nicely and follow through away from this area. And we'll also just delete this over here, since we don't want to have any of this stuff confusing us. And all we'll be doing for ourselves is just simply looking for a reversal structure to form here on a smaller time frame. If we obviously do find price action decelerating or obviously reversing within this area here, which is a point of interest, also previous support that prices broke below that can function as resistance, this is an area where I will be looking to sell. Obviously, if prices don't react from this area, my next value area is where I will be looking for that downside basically to hold the current 4-hour downtrend that we have here. I want to see price action basically continue to the downside to set me up for a nice higher time frame buying opportunity, hopefully when prices get to these support structures down low. So simply on AU, we have the same directional bias as AUDJPY, where we have a short-term bearish bias and then obviously higher time frame bullish bias. The exact same thing on AUDUSD. We've got a short-term bearish bias, hoping that prices pull down low and come and set us up for that higher time frame bullish directional bias. So simple enough, guys, that's what we're looking for on AU. Let's go on to some Swiss yen, see what we've got here on Swiss yen. Let's just see. I see Ntando saying there AJ just impulsively broke the flag. Let's just go back and see what AJ is doing. No stress, man. Even though AJ just broke the flag, we'll still keep our structure there because we still have a point of interest, previous support that can function as resistance. And so we'll keep our structure on there, obviously, just to see whether price action actually does break back into our structure and then give us that commitment before we find a trading opportunity to the downside. What matters most is that we're waiting for all of our entry criteria to give us a reason to press buy or to press sell before we actually enter into the market. So let's just go on to some Swiss yen, see what Swiss yen has for us. So Swiss yen, I think I'm going to stick to more so the higher time frames because I do have more of a higher time frame directional bias here on on Swiss yen. So on Swiss yen, basically we've got this nice, beautiful third touch or multi-touch structure. So if you just zoom out and see what the overall structure is, we've got this nice ascending structure here from a daily or from a weekly of higher time frame. Doesn't really matter which higher time frame, but higher time frame structure, we've got this nice ascending structure over here. You guys can see we've got a multi-touch structure. We've obviously broken or given our nice touch of that resistance trend line and then obviously correctively broken our structure. So we've got previous resistance in this area here that we've obviously created, broken above, broken back below. So obviously for that downside, we could be looking for price action to retest this previous area there before we see that higher time frame downside continuation. So obviously dropping down onto a smaller time frame like a 4-hour, we'll observe a little bit of the nature that's been going on here. So nature, we've got a nice descending structure here. Swiss yen was absolutely beautiful to us, guys. Swiss yen was something else last week. Swiss yen was something else, guys. She gave me one of the best runs of this year so far. I think Swiss yen is returning to her former glory and giving us those beautiful entries, beautiful price action. But otherwise, guys, so basically higher time frame, we've got this nice inverse head and shoulders. We've got our left shoulder there. We see prices violating, giving us our head, and obviously guys can see that we've got a potential for us to react here, giving us that right shoulder before we find that nice momentum to the upside. So our higher time frame directional bias, guys, is bullish. To take into account where we are right now in this area, guys, price action can do no matter what it wants to do. Anything, it can do anything in this area here. So obviously I am looking at this pair on a smaller time frame to just observe like nature's theory and whatever previous resistance, whatever, all those things. But I do understand that my kind of what I want to do on Swiss yen. Higher time frame on Swiss yen, I most definitely want to be looking to buy once price action to the areas here. All I need to wait for is just for price action to actually buy, and first of all, for price action to come to these points of interest. So what I'll be doing for myself is I'll just stay out of the noise. If I don't see any clear setup on a smaller time frame for me to actually sell this pair or whatever the case is, then I can sit on my hands and wait for price action to come to a value area, an area that is going to give me a lot better probabilities and probabilities that are present in this market considering where price action is currently. So guys, bullish bias on Swiss yen. We just need to wait for Swiss yen to come into our point of interest. If then sorry on Swiss yen, and we wait for Swiss yen to come into higher time frame points of interest, just so that we have a better probability on us actually taking the trade. So we're waiting for this nice inverse head and shoulders to play out. Once price action gets to this right shoulder, or where we expect the right shoulder to terminate, that's where we'll be looking for those bullish continuation trades. So nice bullish bias on Swiss yen. Let's go on to New Zealand dollar CAD and see what New Zealand dollar CAD has for us there. Let's also just check the chats there. I see Kopana saying Danko, what's good there? I see. Good, man. Don't forget NASDAQ and US30. So both of these pairs, I don't really have anything on, but US30 I do have on my watch list. So I'll just have a look at it quickly before we end the session. I see Victor saying Euro USD. I don't have Euro USD on my watch list, but you could obviously use some correlation that I've got here on AUD USD and as well as my DXY bias, just for your own correlation there on your side. I see James Christian is saying much love there from Kenya, much love as well. Sent from South Africa all the way to Kenya there, James. I see Khumuta saying, this is very good, bro. I love what you're doing. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that, man. Thanks a lot there for that. I see Ndanda saying, can you see the head and shoulders on the 4 hour? I'm not sure which pair you're talking about at this point in time, but if you can just give me a pair there, then I'm sure I can reference for you. Morning Chasers, thank you, Tremaine. Thank you for last week's analysis on AU. I ate, man. That's amazing, man. That's amazing. I also ate so nicely on AU. I got a beautiful, beautiful sniper entry. If you guys remember our bias last week from AU, we had this point of interest over here, and price came and tapped in so perfectly into our point of interest. We had this area here that functioned as a nice point of interest for us, but I'll show you that on a 1 hour, because on a 1 hour, we can refine it, guys. If you guys took this entry of this point of interest, my God, you guys ate. We had this point of interest over here. And if you guys had just set your order according to this point of interest, you guys would have got the sniper entry of a lifetime. Price just wicked this area. After the wick, we've got some momentum to the downside. During that nice, I think it was NFP or whatever, I got a beautiful shot from this area over here, and then another shot from this area here, just at NFP. Guys, AU, our bias on AU, the guys last week was an amazing week. All it required from you guys is just to watch the pairs that we analyzed. That's all last week required from you guys, and you guys would have ate, man. So I'm glad there. I'm glad Siva ate there. Siva ate there on last week's analysis. That's amazing, man. So on New Zealand dollar CAD, guys, just getting into some New Zealand dollar CAD. Let me just finish up the questions there. I see there in Togozisi saying, good buffer about price action, breakout, retrace at key levels. Most definitely, man. We always wait for price action to come into our key level before we do anything. Okay, cool. I see there and Thunder saying on AU. We'll just go and check it once we're done with our analysis. So I see the New Zealand dollar CAD basically looks almost similar to AUDCAD in the sense of this nice higher time frame daily descending structure. But obviously we can see that CAD highlighted our descending structure to the downside. Now, dropping down onto a 4 hour, we'll be able to observe how price action violated. And we can see that we've got this nice descending channel over there. What we've been waiting for forever on New Zealand dollar CAD was for reduced risk entries only. So only entries once price action has violated our resistance area, which was this support over here, violated this resistance over here. And you guys can see last week's analysis played out absolutely beautifully. We got that nice break and that retest of price action. Obviously not a very impulsive continuation from price, but nonetheless, we got something. Anyway, coming into this week's current bias, we're still going to be bullish bias on this pair, but obviously I was looking for, you guys can see my tab is purple, so I was looking for a bearish bias short term. But this morning, obviously this week over here came and gave us that selling opportunity that we could have found just because we were at resistance. We were looking for short bias to short trading opportunities. But now that we've tapped into this zone, we are no longer bearish bias because we can't be looking to sell anymore. Our setup has completed. So what we're going to be looking for is for that buy, that much lower buy. We can see that price action is being a bit corrective here. We've got resistance. Prices broke above, broke below. Let me just have a sip of my drink there, guys. Apologies. So basically, guys, all we're waiting for here is just for our upside continuation. We've got our violation of this downtrend. We've broken the structure nice and impulsively to the upside. All we need to be waiting for is just for price action to come into our points of interest, which are our value areas. Previous support over here where we see a bunch of buyers coming in, violating resistance. We also see a bunch of buyers coming in over here, violating this resistance. So what we want to do for ourselves is just wait for price action to come into these points of interest where we'll be able to find those bullish trading opportunities. So on New Zealand dollar CAD, guys, we've got a nice bullish bias. Bearish bias has actually completed. So we just need to wait now for price action to develop a little bit more and give us an entry at our points of interest for that bullish continuation. let's go on to that New Zealand dollar JPY. We'll also go up to a daily. So on New Zealand dollar JPY, I feel like I'm going to have to exercise a bit of patience on this pair. But nonetheless, we've got this nice high type and descending structure over here. We've got our first touch, second touch over there. You can see that third touch, that nice fake out, break and close below, break and close back above structure, nice beautiful retest of price action over there. Inside of our structure to obviously follow through. Now, if you drop down onto a 4 hour, just observe a little bit of the nature of what's been going on here. We see price action giving us a higher high. So we finally see price action violating this resistance area, giving us a nice, beautiful higher high. So what I am looking for is obviously for prices to create a higher low. But what we can see is we've got resistance violated, broke back below. New resistance violated, broke back below. So obviously we can see that price action is ascending in a very corrective manner. So what we can do for ourselves is look at this price action like a ranging market. Resistance being up here, support being down here. Obviously, you guys know when we are stuck within a range, we look for selling probabilities from the high, buying probabilities from the low. We understand that our higher time frame directional bias is bullish. And so where should we be looking to trade? From the low of this range. So that's exactly what we're going to be looking for on New Zealand dollar JPY, guys. We'll be waiting. We won't be looking to sell this pair, but we'll be waiting to see the sale happen just so that price action can come into a point of interest where we'll get probabilities to be able to buy this pair and obviously maximize on our return. We want to buy in an area where we can turn this scalp into a day trade, from a day trade into a swing trade, and whatever the case is, we want to be able to maximize on our risk to reward ratios. And obviously when market proves us right, we want to be able to ride that as long as possible. And the only way we can do that is by waiting for price action to come basically to these higher time frame points of interest, where we'll be able to find entries on a lower time frame. But those entries that we find in a lower time frame have a higher chance of us turning that smaller time frame entry into a higher time frame trade. So on New Zealand dollar JPY, guys, we're stuck right now moving pretty much sideways. So obviously selling probabilities from the high, buying probabilities from the low. I'd like to trade my higher time frame directional bias, which is bullish. So I'm going to be waiting for price action to basically come down to the support structure there before we actually buy. Now, I see you guys obviously asked for US30 over there. Yes, as much as I'm not really looking for anything actively today, I do have some analysis there, so I'll just go over US30 for you guys. So on US30, we basically got some momentum to the downside. We have this nice, beautiful ascending structure, first touch, second touch, and then obviously on a smaller time frame, which is a 1 hour, we observe the nature coming towards this third touch area. We saw this nice, beautiful ascending structure over there, obviously warranting us to be sell biased. After that, we obviously saw this nice follow through of our sell bias, directional bias over there. But obviously what we can see here is that yes, price action was kind of moving to the upside nicely, breaking resistance, treating that. So basically, if you just look at the price action here, we've got resistance in this area. We broke above, retested nicely. We've got new resistance in this area, broke above, retested nicely. We've got new resistance here, broke above, retested nicely. New resistance here, broke above, and then obviously we started being corrective, and then we had our sell-biased momentum coming in. Now, if we look at the opposite, we've got some support structures over here, prices violating, breaking back above structure. So obviously we can see that the way that the price is moving down is not the same that the way the price is moving up. So what we want to be doing, yes, we have the potential to follow through on this higher time frame ascending structure and complete at the 90% root of the structure. But we can clearly see that there is not enough momentum at the current moment in time. And so what we'll be doing is we'll kind of just be hanging 10 on having a very, very strong sell bias at this moment in time, because we see that there is no sell side momentum at this moment in time. So what we're going to be waiting for is just basically for price action to come to our previous supply area. So where we see buyers being able to violate some resistance areas. So we see buyers coming in from this area, being able to violate all these resistance areas. Maybe you can even say this resistance area up here. Doesn't really matter, but the most recent price action or place where we see these buyers coming in is from this area over here. So what I want to kind of do for myself is just exercise a bit of patience, maybe continuation to the upside. We will obviously be able to isolate some sort of a structure at some point in time. So obviously having a little bit of patience on these pairs allows for price action to develop a little bit more. And then obviously when we have more information, chart, we make decisions, because how we get to a conclusion, we add context to this data. And obviously, once we add context to this data to us and get the information, things like nature's theory, top-down analysis, trend line